represent the value of the underlined digit. You might have worked a problem like this before with a whole number amount, but you can see that this number here contains a decimal. Right, but even though it contains a decimal, this is still a place value problem. So let's go ahead and bring in a place value chart. If you don't have a place value chart, take a minute to go ahead and pause the video, and then take a minute to copy this one down. All right, and if you look at this place value chart, you can see that from right here in the millions place on this chart, it's identical to a whole number place value chart until we get here to the right of the ones, and then we have a decimal point, and then we add, in this case, 3 more places. We add the tenths place, and the next place to the right is the hundredths place, and then the thousandths place. All right, to work this problem, first I'm going to copy my number down here, 1 digit to each column. This just helps me to keep everything straight. And notice I put my decimal point on the line, not between the lines. All right, and the problem is asking us to represent the value of the underlined digit. When we have a digit, in this case an 8, in this place, what is its value? What's it worth? When I work with these kind of numbers, I like to draw a line right down through the decimal point, just like that. And this helps me to understand that everything on the left side of that line is on the whole number side of this number. Everything on this side, these are decimal places. And this represents 1 part, less than 1 whole. Now, to find the value of this 8, we can go ahead and bring this 8 straight on down. Now I'm always going to work toward my decimal. So if my decimal's to the right, I'm going to work to the right. I'll fill this place in with a 0. And when I get to my decimal point, I can stop. Remember, my line represents my decimal point. Right. So the value of 8, when it's in this place, is worth 80. All right, and that will make a lot of sense to you if you go down here and use your place value chart to figure out which place we're in. Well, the 8 is 2 places left of my decimal, so if I look at my place value chart, 2 places left of the decimal puts me in the tens place. So an 8 in the tens place is worth 8 tens, and 8 tens is 80. So the value of the 8 would be 80. All right, we're going to work another problem, but this time we're going to figure out what the value is of one of our digits on the decimal side. Let's bring in a place value chart. This is the same place value chart that we just used. And let's go ahead and let's copy our number over between the columns. And let's draw a line through our decimal point. And remember, we do that to help us understand everything on the left side is on the whole number side. Everything on the right side are decimal places. This all represents something that's less than 1 whole. All right, now there are actually 2 ways to represent the value of a digit when it's on the decimal side. We can represent it as a fractional amount, or we can represent it as a decimal amount, and I'll show you both ways. All right, the first way I'll show you is how to represent it as a fractional amount. All right, to do this, we have to figure out which place our digit is in. Well, let's start with our decimal point and use it as a reference. And we're going to see that our 7, our underlined digit, is 2 places to the right of the decimal. So look on the place value chart. We can see that 2 places to the right of the decimal is tenths, hundredths, the hundredths place. Now, if you think about fractions, a number in the hundredths will have a 100 as a denominator. So directly below our 7, we'll put a 100 as a denominator, put our fraction bar. And how many hundredths are we talking about? Well, we're talking about 7. So we'll bring our 7 straight on down here. So a 7 in the hundredths place has a value as 7 over 100. That's when we write it as a fractional amount. All right, now we can also represent it as a decimal amount. Let me show you how to do that. To represent it as a decimal amount, I'll go to my underlined place. I can see that it's on the decimal side. I'll bring it down, just like that. And now I'm going to work toward the decimal like I did before. Okay, my decimal now is on my left. So I'll fill in my tenths place with a 0. Now, I have to put this decimal point in here. Otherwise, I'm saying that this 7 is worth 7, as in 7 wholes. So I have to put my decimal, and we normally put a leading 0 right there. So a 7 in the hundredths place, when we represent its value with a decimal amount, would be 0.07 or 7 hundredths. All right, we've got a couple more problems that I'll work just to give you some extra practice. All right, on this problem, we have 57 and 853 thousandths, and we have to find the value of the 3 on the decimal side. So let's go ahead and copy our number over here between the lines. And let's split the decimal. Everything on the left side is a whole number amount. Everything on the right side is a decimal amount, or a part, we could say less than 1 whole. All right, first I'll show this as a fractional amount since it's on the decimal side, and then I'll rework the same problem and show you how to do it again as a decimal amount. Okay? To do it as a fractional amount, we have to figure out which place that we're in. So let's use our decimal point as a reference. And I can see that I am 1, 2, 3 places to the right of my decimal. So looking on my place value chart, let's go 3 places to the right. Tenths, hundredths, thousandths. So I'm in my thousandths place. And think of a fraction in the thousandths. That would have a denominator of 1,000. And since we're talking about 3 thousandths, we'll go ahead and bring our 3 right on down here. That would be the value of the digit 3 represented as a fractional amount. Now let's do the same problem in the same digit and represent it as a decimal amount. All right, to represent my 3, my digit 3, the value of my digit 3 as a decimal amount, I'll just simply bring my 3 down. And remember, I'm going to work toward the decimal. So I'm going to work toward the left, and I'll replace my hundredths place. I'll place a 0. I'm not really replacing it. I'm just going to place a 0 in the hundredths place. And I'll place a 0 in the tenths place. And I have to place my decimal point. Remember, this is a decimal amount, so I have to include the decimal. And then we always include a leading 0. So 3 1,000ths, the value of that digit represented as a decimal amount would be 0.003, 3 1,000ths. All right, let's do one more. And I can see that this has a decimal in it. Let's go ahead and write our number with one digit to a column. Decimal point goes on the line. Let's go ahead and draw a line, write down the decimal. So everything on the left side is a whole number amount. Everything on the right side is a decimal place, or a part or less than one whole. All right, now I'm trying to find the value of a number on the whole number side. Okay, so I'm not going to worry about representing this as a fractional amount or a decimal amount. I'll just represent it as a whole number. So I'll bring this 6 on down. And then I'll fill in my tens place with a 0. And I'll fill in my ones place with a 0. And when I get to my decimal, I can stop. Right, so a 6 in the hundreds place has a value of 600. And that makes sense if you think about it. Our 6 is in the hundreds place, and 6 100ths would be 600. I hope this was helpful to you. Have a good day.